Hello guys, I am Pado, and in this video I'll be talking about 5 techniques you can use to win games from Champion Select. Drafting in its entirety is very complex and hard to master. The top coaches in Pro League have to go through rigorous research to out-mind game their opponents. But when it comes to drafting in solo queue, it's not as hard as people think. Champion Select in Ranked Draft is like chess, except each of your teammates and you get 2 moves each, 1 ban and 1 pick. However, you can always be one step ahead of your rivals by manipulating this phase of the game thanks to the help of things like pick order and swapping. Okay, so the techniques I'll be talking about are number 1, banning efficiently, number 2, swapping efficiently, number 3, 1-2 trick strategy, number 4, filling strategy, and number 5, dodging. I'm creating dozens of videos on GameLeap as well, and I highly recommend that you sign up. GameLeap is the most comprehensive library of video guides available, all done by challenger players. If you're serious about winning and climbing, getting your GameLeap membership is the most efficient path to your desired rank. You'll find an in-depth course on how to play each role, as well as advanced guides on most champions. See you on the inside. Without further ado, let's talk about banning efficiently. Banning in draft phase is important because every patch there is a select few champions that are overtuned and a hassle to deal with versing them. But banning efficiently has a lot to do with your preference and playstyle in the game. One tip is to never ban first. Always wait for your team to ban because there's a good chance you are going to ban something your teammate was already going to do. The most efficient way to ban a champion is to ban a popular character that is overtuned or hard to play against. I recommend going on third-party websites like u.gg and jumping on their tier list page. There you filter characters by role, win rate, pick rate, ban rate, and even by patch and region. The goal is to ban a high pick rate champion that also counters you or your allies' champions. For example, in my elo, Elise is top 5 pick rate for jungle with a relatively high win rate, and I am playing Lee Sin. It would be a high priority ban because there's a good chance Elise will appear, especially if I am picking first. So you want to ban really overpowered champions based on your research if you are around the 3rd to 5th pick, but focus more on banning your counters if you are first pick. Okay, now let's talk about our second point, swapping efficiently. There are a number of reasons you would want to swap to be one step ahead of your opponents. Swapping champions can be beneficial to hide picks to counter the enemy and to also stop being countered as well. You don't want to first pick Kassadin as there is a plethora of champions that can easily win that matchup. It can also be used to secure high popularity picks to stop the enemy from taking it, and even use the flex picks to bait the enemy into thinking that character is in a certain role, but actually in a different one, like how Sylas can be both played in the mid lane and jungle. But if I had to break it down to swapping efficiently, it has a lot to do with which side of the map you are starting. If you are starting on the blue side of the map, you are first pick. If you are first pick, generally the go-to strategy is to pick an overpowered champion or something that can be blind picked. This means you shouldn't pick a champion that can be easily countered first, as the chances of being outdrafted increase. If you are red side, you have the last pick, so saving your counter for last is the right way to pick. This brings me to my next point and technique, 1-2 trick strategy. Over the years, more and more players tend to stick to 1 or 2 champions. While having a narrow champion pool has its downs, there are good sides to this as well. If your champion is banned, then you are forced to play something you are not experienced or comfortable with compared to your main champion, so you start the game off at a disadvantage. So the best thing to do when you are a 1 or 2 trick is to make the most out of your small champion pool if it's not banned. Opt to take the first pick when you are blue or red side because you were going to play your main champion regardless of the matchup in the first place. There is a big misconception that just because your matchup is unfavorable for you, it means you have lost. Unless your matchup is a direct counter, there are many ways to counter a hard matchup through lane manipulation or understanding the matchup a lot better. A lot of one tricks can relate to this point. For others, the matchup may seem hard or impossible, but for one tricks it can be easy because they reduce the parts of the matchup that counters them and enlarges the part of the matchup that makes them win. Doing this allows your team to counterpick and have an easier time in the game. Now to our fourth point and benefits of having a big champion pool, filling strategy. Just like 1-2 tricks, there are many players on the Rift that can play a variety of roles and champions ranging from top to bottom lane. Technically speaking, these kind of players have the biggest benefit in champion select. Not only can you blind pick for your team, saving picks for later, you can pick for the in-game elements. When your team lacks crowd control, AP damage, AD damage, scaling, synergy, and so on, you can fill this in. This pretty much solidifies your team composition. This is something I see a lot of field players do and succeed in. However, one downside may be that the carry potential they possess is not consistent enough because of the difference in champions and roles they play every game. Nevertheless, the strategy is effective to winning solo queue games. Now on to our final point, dodging. Dodging may seem bad, but in hindsight it is better to dodge 3 LP or even 10 LP for multiple dodges over playing an unwinnable game. There is a notion that every game has the same difficulty. This is not true. Let me give you a few examples. You have a double assassin comp and you are versing 2 tanks, 1 bruiser and 2 carries. The only way you win this is by grabbing an insane amount of gold lead in the early game. So the difficulty of ending a game like this versus your average norm is very high because so many conditions have to meet to make it work. If teamfight tactics champion comps have differences between each other, imagine having a huge difference in solo queue except you can only control one champion. This also means you should never pick a bad matchup when you are 4th or 5th pick. Dodging like this is effective, but there are more factors to think about. If your teammates are arguing already, or someone troll picks, or anything in general that makes you feel like you start the game off with a huge disadvantage, it is infinitely better to cop a dodge. Dodging saves you the tilt, having to play a very difficult or unwinnable game for a fraction of the price of a real loss. For people who play 1 to 5 games a day, taking one -3 LP dodge is effective to maximize their win rate and preserve MMR. For people who play 5 to 10 or more games, dodging every unwinnable game is effective for the same reasons. The more games you do not dodge and lose, the more unnecessary MMR you are losing to the matchmaking system. This means over time your winning LP will close or overlap to your losing LP, making it harder for you to climb. This strategy is a big reason why I am able to make it to Master Tier solo at a 70% or higher win rate. Technically, you save a lot of time, sweat, and tears, and you're prepared for your next winnable game. So with these strategies alone, you will feel the quality of your games increase as every game feels winnable. Also, you will tend to struggle less in skirmishes from bad compositions. Okay, so in this video we have learned 5 things. Number 1, always ban last to get the best ban out of your team. Number 2, ban overpowered champions if you are close to last pick and ban counter matchups if you are close to first pick. Number 3, pick an overpowered champion if you are first pick or counter pick when you are last pick. Number 4, offer to take the first pick of your team if you are 1-2 trick with a narrow champion pool. Number 5, offer to fill the gaps or shortcomings of your team composition with your wide champion pool and role diversity. And finally, number 6, dodging is key to maintaining high win rate and MMR. It helps you in the long run and the price of the penalty is nothing compared to the LP and MMR you lose from a real defeat. I'm creating dozens of videos on GameLeap as well, and I highly recommend that you sign up. GameLeap is the most comprehensive library of video guides available, all done by challenger players. If you're serious about winning and climbing, getting your GameLeap membership is the most efficient path to your desired rank. You'll find an in-depth course on how to play each role, as well as advanced guides on most champions. Click on the link here to sign up. See you on the inside.